Did Donald Trump actually think that there would be an attack on the Capitol on January 6th? There's almost no direct evidence to say that he did. There's plenty of direct evidence indicating he did not. If January 6th was in fact an insurrection, why was almost nobody armed? If January 6th was an insurrection, why did only a couple hundred people storm the Capitol while tens of thousands stood outside, confused? If January 6th was an insurrection, why did Trump tell his followers to peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard just seconds before the march to the Capitol began? The truth is this: January 6th, of course, was a terrible day. It was a perfect example of what happens when politics gets the best of people and passions burn too hot. But the claim that Donald Trump is responsible for inciting an insurrection is ridiculous. The anger toward Trump from both parties right now is only justifiable in their belief that he made false claims that the election was stolen. But if you ask the House managers, you get a much different story. The question is whether they're changing any minds. That's what matters. Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska appears set to vote to convict.
I know what I was feeling in the Senate chamber when I could hear those voices. The evidence that has been presented thus far is pretty damning. I don't see how Donald Trump could be reelected to the presidency again.
All right, she's probably going to convict. It's not a surprise, though. She was one of only 6 Republicans to vote that the trial was constitutional in the first place. Today was by far the weakest of the 3 days for the Democrats. They ended on a pretty soft note, a lot of repetition. Jamie Raskin, their star, had some time, and with it, he chose to lie yet again, this time with yet another selectively edited video.
Trump knew that his incitement would result in violence, not only because of the thousands of violent messages that were posted all over the forums, he knew it also because he'd seen many of the exact same groups he was mobilizing participate in extremist.
Okay, there you go. Raskin then showed the Charlottesville riot video. You remember the big Charlottesville fight? That warmed the audience up to his next edited moment from the president. Take a listen.
You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides. And you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Okay, you know this soundbite. This is the soundbite that has been used hundreds of times by the media to portray Donald Trump as a white supremacist. This is where they get it from. It's probably the most effective lie that the media and Democrats have had against Trump. It was even brought up in the first presidential debate by Chris Wallace at Fox News, where he continued to push this lie. Truly embarrassing as it is. Here is the rest of that statement that the media needs you to ignore.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
So yet again, condemned totally, the president said. He was not shy about saying that. Media acts like it never happened. Deceptive editing used again. This is another big slam to the credibility of the Democrats' case. Bad form by Raskin, but he is very partisan. Democrats could have chosen somebody a little bit more moderate, more credible to do this, but they want to use their killers. This is what people like Adam Schiff and Jamie Raskin are for. They're only for party. They don't care about anything else. This is their purpose. Here was Ted Lieu from California, who played the soft touch today.
He does not say the one sentence that would stop future political violence. The election was not stolen. He still hasn't said that sentence. That is why National Guard troops in full body armor still patrol outside.
All right, well, Congressman, the fact of the matter is the president still believes that the election was stolen. I think we all know that. It certainly wasn't fair. And just because nobody wants to talk about it doesn't mean the election was fair. We're not saying it was stolen, but it wasn't fair at all. We've talked about the ballot boxes that came from Zuckerberg, the last-minute rule changes. But let's just remind everyone of the power of the next one. The mainstream media, effective election, they didn't even try to hide it. They buried sexual assault allegations against Joe Biden first after obsessing over the sex life of Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels for months. They buried the highly credible corruption allegations against Joe and Hunter Biden by Tony Bobulinski, who was Hunter's business partner. It doesn't get any better or more credible than that. They buried it. The media softballed every question they gave to Biden after ruthlessly attacking Trump for 4 years. And now the left and the media are ready to burn Trump at the stake for suggesting that this election was stolen. The insurrection is a huge black eye to our country. But that election was a kick in the teeth to 74 million Americans. The allegations by Trump and others, of course, were taken too far. That's fair. But just talk about an unfair election. But they had just watched an unfair election. When the media and big tech choose a candidate, that is not fair. We can't pretend that it is. And stop the ridiculous storyline that Trump and Republicans demanding an investigation into the election and organizing a rally to show it has the support of the people was inciting an insurrection. Trump had no clue that those 200 maniacs were going to storm into the Capitol building. He just didn't. You don't start a riot with the words peacefully and patriotically. Get real. As for our current president right now, he's being very quiet on all of this, probably hoping it just goes away soon.
I didn't watch any of the hearing live because I was going straight through last night till a little after 9, but I watched some this morning. I think the Senate has a very important job to complete, and I think my guess is some minds may have been changed, but I don't know.
All right, not exactly a ringing endorsement for the trial and the work of the House Democrats there.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.